programming is now so much existing online as it does at the museum. Well, this program is going to salute one of the great figures in American jazz. More about that in a moment, but let me tell you about the musician who we have engaged to be your host and to put the music together, to hire the musicians, write the arrangements, and it's his project. His name is John Thomas. He's a brilliant young pianist, came to New York, studied at some of the finest conservatories in the city in the daytime, and in the evening learned about a whole other kind of education, becoming a regular fixture at some of the city's great jazz clubs, including Smalls and many, many other venues too. John Thomas originally comes from Cleveland. He has his own style. His biography is appended to these programs. You can find out more about him there. But we just turned to him and said, we want to make a program to bring the great music of the past into contemporary terms. We're not asking you to imitate it or to pretend that it's 1950 or something like that, but just to play it as it appeals to you and your wonderful musicians. And these programs are being shared with our elders specifically because they're concerned that younger generations learn who were, I should say, these great people that we're saluting. And to the younger folks, now they will know who these folks were. So thank you so much for joining us. This presentation concerns the music of Duke Ellington. I was about to say arguably America's greatest composer. To me, there's actually no argument. But Ellington, born in 1899, he passed away in 1974, born in Washington, passed away in New York, and lived a life that is, it's amazing that there's not been a major Hollywood film about him, except for the fact that he had a wonderful, successful, happy life, and maybe that's not what they make major film biographies about. However, imagine someone born 30-some-odd years after the end of the Civil War, who has his 70th birthday thrown by the President of the United States at a grand party, the equal of what they would do for a foreign head of state at the White House. I mean, his story is just unbelievable. He conquered popular music, he conquered concert music, everything in between, collaborated with some of the greatest artists of his time, and had that ability that only the greatest composers have, which is to make everything that they write immediately recognizable. And not only that, Ellington could play the music of Tchaikovsky or Grieg or any composer, Fats Waller, let's just name them, and make it sound like an Ellington piece. He was that original. His musical fingerprint was that vital. Duke Ellington played the piano. Sometimes they say his real instrument was the orchestra. In a sense, that's true, because his way of writing music, the same way that any composer writes for an orchestra, again, had that fingerprint, had that Ellingtonian sound. However, he didn't have a band the size of a symphony orchestra. However, any and every great composer in every idiom who ever heard Ellington had to agree, and did state frequently, that the sounds that he got out of those 12.5 horns equaled the sound palette of groups of musicians that were exponentially larger. Absolutely an amazing figure. And John Thomas has put together a wonderful band, written the arrangements, organized the music to bring us to the world of Duke Ellington. And it's such a joy to say, take it away, John Thomas.
Bruce Harris, everyone. Bruce Harris. Get it for the legendary Bruce Harris, everybody at home. Yeah, just going to introduce everyone to the band very quickly. So very clearly, this is the Bronx's own Bruce Harris on trumpet. You know, can we give it up for Bruce here? Yeah, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All the way from L.A. By way of Harlem. Give it up for Kyle Poole on drums. Florida man, you made it out. Give it up for Barry. Give it up for Barry Stevenson on bass, y'all. Barry Stevenson on bass. And this is John Thomas. No, it's a John Thomas trio, but I guess we have a +1 this time. So trio +1. That was, of course, Ellington's In a Mellow Tone, you know, a classic. We're going to take it a little bit further back in Ellington's book. This is a song, I think he would play this with, if I'm not mistaken, he would play this with a tap dancer by the name of Bo Jangles. But I've updated it quite a bit since the band would normally play it. It's called Doing the New Down Low. Unfortunately, we're going to say bye to Bruce on this one. Sorry, Bruce. You can't you can't outdo me on every song, man. You gotta save some for later, man. Yeah, so this is my arrangement of you know, just this kind of earlier Ellington song, Doing the New Down Low. Put my own thing on it. Hope you guys enjoy. So that one, I have to be very honest with you all. So most of these tunes I prepared for this concert, but that one I actually prepared a little while ago, maybe about 2 years ago, maybe about three, maybe 3 or 4 actually, for a series I have on the poet Langston Hughes, and kind of I paired his commentary with composers from the Harlem Renaissance and kind of melded the two together, and updated some things, and had a poet on stage with me doing some stuff. So that's a cool project that hopefully I can do a little bit later, and something to be on the lookout for. But yeah, we're gonna keep it going with another take on Ellington classic, Cottontail. Yeah, this next one I think we're gonna do mainly duo. We'll see what happens. We'll see where the music takes us. But it's pretty much the most swinging song in the world. um, Duke Ellington's "Drop Me Off in Harlem." absolutely. So now, yeah. So yeah. Now that now that we've covered that, we've covered that entire. I like to play. I think this is by far my favorite ballad in the world. Probably my favorite tune in the world. In my opinion, it's the most beautiful song ever written. Um, it's from what's the name of the album? Such Sweet Thunder. Duke Ellington, Such Sweet Thunder. Duke Ellington and Billy Strayhorn wrote an album. Pretty much, I mean, the entire thing is based on Shakespeare's works. It's really interesting because something about like poetry and like meter and poetry, like iambic meter and all these kinds of things. You can hear that in some of the compositions, and there's no doubt in my mind that like Duke wrote that and Strayhorn wrote that with that intent. Like certain horn lines, like the trombone lines on like Half is Fun, you can hear that stuff in it. So it's really deep. But this one was written based on the scene where Cleopatra was on her barge, I think at some point. I didn't actually read too much into Cleopatra's love story, but yeah, I think she was on a barge, and this is kind of based on that whole scene. Star-crossed lovers.